Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and on today's video we're talking about another fragrance from the house of Chanel. So today we have a fragrance from Chanel, and this is part of the Les Exclusifs collection. So this is their exclusive range of fragrances, and there is a new one coming out here soon, which is called Comet. But this one is one that was launched in 2016. I do have the 2016 formulation, so when it comes to longevity and performance, it might be outdated because I don't have a new formulation of this fragrance. And you can kind of tell that it's a little bit more thick of a juice, so it's probably going to be a little bit watered down because that tends to happen with fragrances. As years progress, they're not allowed to put certain, ingredients in fragrances, and that's constantly changing and evolving. So like I said, longevity and performance for this is pretty good for me on this fragrance, but it might have changed. Let me know down in the comments if yours does not perform as well as this one. Starting off with packaging, here is the box, and I actually have the original one, but mine is like torn up because I had it taped. This is the original box that it came in. It's exactly the same. They haven't really made any updates or changes to the cartonnage, which is the box itself. And in fact, I think they're really cheap boxes. I mean, Chanel, we are paying a lot of money for these fragrances. I get that the juice inside is a good quality, but come on, we need better packaging. This is terrible. So this is what the bottle looks like. Yes, it is identical. It hasn't changed. These have been around for a long time, these bottles themselves. They're not ugly. I know in the past I have said, that I don't like the packaging. I don't dislike it. That's not what I'm ever saying with these fragrances. I think that they're classic bottles. They're going to be around for a long time. What my gripe is about is we can make it a little bit more, I don't know, add a je ne sais quoi to it. I understand simplicity of Chanel. I understand that these bottles have been used for a long time, but let's kind of change it up a little bit. Let's add some special edition bottles in there. Let's do something that's going to make it a little bit better. Let's make the paper stickers a little bit more premium, a little bit more expensive. Let's probably stick these on correctly on all of them. If you have seen my review on Le Lion, the sticker is not centered. And I know someone out there is going to comment, well, they stick them by hand. If they're sticking the sticker on by hand, then they can probably manage to train someone to stick it on correctly. If that's not the case, you should probably just have it machine done, in my opinion. I understand that these are haute couture fragrances, but it doesn't really mean haute couture if the quality is not there. So this fragrance was launched in 2016, and it is the Eau de Parfum. I believe this is one that was only launched in Eau de Parfum because it launched in 2016. So this is after the reformulation from Eau de Toilettes to Eau de Parfums. So this one I believe has only been around in Eau de Parfum, and it's not a popular one. I know people do talk about it quite often, but it's not a popular scent when it comes to the Les Exclusifs range. We usually hear more about Coromandel, we hear more about Sycamore, we'll hear a lot about beige, and sometimes we'll hear about boy, but typically not. So the name Boy is not because they are making a boy's fragrance or a men's fragrance. The name comes from Boy Capel, which was Chanel's lover. He was the one that really helped Chanel, become Chanel. This is before Chanel had a boutique. He gave her a loan so she could open up her millinery shop, which is a hat shop in Deauville. It is said that she paid him back. I don't know if that part's true or not, but they were lovers and he died in a car accident. So this is going to represent his person, his soul, his aesthetic, which is where she grabbed a lot of inspiration for her fashion shows because she loved the way he dressed. He would wear wool and tweed and all these fabrics that were originally just reserved for men's, tailoring and men's clothing. And yeah, so she loved it. And, he was the one that started Chanel. If it wasn't for Boy Capel, I don't know if she would have gotten an investor to really invest into her idea and her vision. And I don't know if Mademoiselle Chanel or the House of Chanel would exist today. So this fragrance is a creation by the in-house perfumer of Olivier Polge, which is Jacques Polge's son. He did a good job with this one. It's not the most groundbreaking. I like this one better than Le Lion. Just my humble opinion. Le Lion kind of smells like it's a mashup of multiple Les Exclusifs fragrances, and they just kind of like shoved them all into one bottle and said, let's throw it down the assembly line and make it a Middle East exclusive for a while and then launch it globally. And they did that to create hype, in my opinion. This one itself is, like I said, very, very nice. It's not going to be the most unique scent. I think it's better than like beige, but this fragrance itself is very, very versatile. It's young, it's useful for Les Exclusifs fragrances because it can kind of come off as being either too heavy, too dated. too overwhelming to a lot of people, the Les Exclusifs collection. But this scent in particular is really cool because it's really capturing Chanel's lovers, identity in the fragrance itself. Why do I say that? I say that because the fragrance is light, it is zesty, it is fun, it is vibrant, it is youthful, but it's refined and elegant. So it's a person that's very successful, but they still laugh, they still play, they still don't take life too seriously. This is what this fragrance is. So it's a person that has a lot of money and they're really refined, but they don't take it too seriously. They're not sitting there with their pinky up as they drink tea. They are just a fun person all around, and they are, happy inside and out. And I think that this fragrance does truly represent that. It also represents a very youthful side to the House of Chanel. And it is really, really nice. So the notes that we get in this fragrance are going to be lavender, lemon, musk, heliotropin, and coumarin. I will list those down below because they both show us synthetic components. We also get French geranium, we get grapefruit zest, orange blossom, sandalwood, vanilla, moss, and rose. And this fragrance opens up with that sexy, sexy lavender with that beautiful pop of lemon up top. It's just amazing. Then we go into the greener notes, which are going to be the geraniums and the moss. And this fragrance comes off as being cold. That's a running theme with all of these Les Exclusifs fragrance range. They kind of have a cold personality, which I think is what they're grabbing from Chanel herself because she wasn't, a warm, fuzzy human being. But this one itself grabs elements that are going to warm it up. The sandalwood in here, if you start to learn about fragrances, and you start to smell a lot of fragrances and you are a fragrance connoisseur and a fragrance lover, you will see that sandalwood has a key factor in this fragrance itself. It's a fragrance that really, really leans into the very cool but creamy type of sandalwood, and that is kind of in the background. It's a base to the entire fragrance itself. It's very beautifully done. It's very sexy, it's very refined, and it's very expensive. Then you also get vanilla in here and you get rose. Those are going to warm up the fragrance. Those are going to add a little bit of a pizzazz to the fragrance itself. It's a really nice scent. I have to say that. Now, when you go to the Chanel store, I do advise you for something, or if you go to a Chanel counter and you find this fragrance and you're like, I want to smell it. I have had this encounter happen quite a few times. When I spray this fragrance on a paper card or on myself in the beginning, and you're smelling the rest of them, side by side, the rest of them kind of come alive instantly. This fragrance does not. This fragrance will come off as being a little bit generic, and I'm not trying to say that as an insult, but whenever you first spray it, the fragrance comes off very generic. It's a very Chanel fragrance, of course, but it's also kind of a cologne type of scent when it first opens up. Then the fragrance starts to come alive as the dry down happens. When the dry down happens for this fragrance is where you get the character of the scent itself. I cannot express how important that is with this fragrance itself. You are not going to go into the store and smell Boy and say, super iconic, super groundbreaking, super different. It is a fragrance that you have to wear for at least 30 minutes or so, or spray it onto the card and give it about an hour, because then the fragrance starts to come alive. You start to get the warmer elements, which is the sandalwood, the rose, the vanilla. You get that very beautiful orange blossom and French geranium, which are going to be very green type of elements. And then you get those zesty elements up top. The fragrance to me is a masterpiece, but it does not come alive instantly. It is one that you have to give time for it to warm up to you. Once it warms up to you, I think that you will see that the fragrance does agree with a lot of people. Nice thing about this fragrance is, compared to the rest of the Les Exclusifs collection, this is going to be a fragrance that can be worn in a casual setting. So I love that about the scent, because in the Les Exclusifs range, we really don't have many that are going to be what you would consider as casual fragrances. They're all a little bit dressed up. Maybe eau de cologne, but eau de cologne still has a very dressed up thing about it. It's a cologne that you would wear to a very expensive event. This one, because of the price point, you're obviously going to be, less generous with the fragrance itself, and you might only wear it to dressed up events, but it's a fragrance that works for both casual and dressed up events. I really do think it's a fantastic scent. I like it. Will I say it's my favorite? Probably not. Will I say that this is one of the ones that I will reach for more consistently because it's, a lot more adaptable, it's a lot more flexible? Yes, I do think that, and I think it's a very beautiful, sexy scent. It is amazing, and I think that it grabs a lot of the Chanel DNA and the house codes of fragrance making, and really brings them into the forefront, into the modern era. Will Comet do that? I don't know. I don't think so. What do you think of Boy by Chanel? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you want it? Do you not want it? I definitely recommend that if you are someone that's a little bit more youthful, if you're a lot more playful, but you want something from the House of Chanel, then definitely try a Boy because it's very, very fun. It's very whimsical. It does capture the DNA of that young love, if you will, but it's also very refined, elegant, and kind of old money aesthetic, if you will. So if you're looking for a fragrance that matches all of those things, then definitely check out Boy by Chanel. If you're not and you like the classic codes of Chanel, you'll still get them in here. It's just going to be a little bit more tamed down. It's just going to be a little bit more dressed down compared to the rest of the collection, but it's still a Chanel fragrance through and through. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this scent. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fragrance related content. I look forward to seeing you on next time's video. Until then, take care. Bye.